Everybody, welcome to today's session. We're just going to wait for everybody to be able to get into the meeting, and then I will get started. Welcome to today. So hopefully that's most of everybody in now. We are going to be recording the meeting. You'll notice that you can't see yourselves, which is probably good, because if you're in Teams meetings all day, you don't really want to see yourself all the time, do you? It gets a bit fatiguing when you can see yourself all the time. So we're going to record the meeting so that we can upload it to the website and to our YouTube channel for future reference. But welcome, everybody. I hope a lot of you recognise me, because I have been a trainer at Lighthouse Group for about 6 years now. And I usually deliver the business admin program and also the TLS level 3. So hopefully you recognise me from some of those courses that you've been on. If not, please do talk to somebody about some of the programs that we deliver, because we do deliver a range of qualifications for people. So today we're going to have a very short seminar, just to give you an introduction, a little bit of a snapshot of a bigger program that we can deliver. And we're going to call this little seminar Thriving Under Pressure, but it's part of a stress management program that we run. And I'm going to give you lots of tools today, so please try and keep up, but it's quite intense, this session. But like I said, it's going to be uploaded to our website and to our YouTube channel afterwards, so you can always play it back later. So here goes. I'm going to ask you to interact and use your raise hand icon later as well during the program, so I can get a feel for what people are already doing as far as building their resilience and using strategies. So today we are going to look at what the stress and pressure are. We're going to look at what the difference is. How are we defining those? Why do they get a bit mixed up and muddled? We're going to look at why stress occurs, how it affects everybody, and I'm going to ask you to do a little bit of a reflection activity around that. And then the big bit is about giving you some tools so that you can learn how to add to your strategic toolkit already and think about how you can handle stress better, how you can develop resilience. I'm going to give you not only some personal tools, which you're probably already aware of, a lot of those already, but I also want to give you some management, some operational, some task related tools to help you to manage stress, because stress doesn't disappear. Our stressors don't go away, and they tend to get added to. So I want to make sure that you have the bit of both, some personal strategies, but also some problem solving strategies. So those are some of those techniques that we're going to look to increase our well-being. And I'm going to ask you also to reflect on some new strategies that you're going to try after the workshop. I'm going to include a very short bit about supportive leadership, because I think it's really important managers take note of the fact they have a duty of care to manage stress in the workplace. And I also recognise that there's still a stigma around this topic. And also people don't like to talk about being stressed. They don't like to feel vulnerable. So I'm going to give a couple of options, which are probably, hopefully, a lot of you already use in order to approach that situation a bit more sensitively. So that's what we're going to cover. So first of all, then, stress and pressure. Please, can you use the chat, which I've opened up? I wonder, please, can you give me some examples of pressure? First of all, what do you think pressures are? Put into the chat box. What do you think pressures are? Give me some examples. Only one, a few. What are pressures? Yes, time, deadlines, staff, resources, absolutely. Financials, yes. Workload, lots of people talking about workload, conflicting priorities, absolutely. Thank you very much. Lots of demands. Yes, money and debt, deadlines and targets. Yes, there's lots. Oh, errors, that's a good one. Thank you very much. Oh, yes, disrespect. Yeah, very much so. But also that's an internal psychological one, isn't it? So that can be a perception thing as well, which doubles the amount of pressure. So it's potentially external and it's also internal, what goes in our brain. And a lot of these elements are also things that we can beat ourselves up about too. So thank you very much, everybody. Right, let's stop that. And now let's think about stress. So what does stress mean, please? Give me a few words about what stress means. Yes, work-life balance, coping. Yes, very good. Very good. Overload, ill health, inability to cope. Very good. Psychological reaction. Very good. Yes, mental load. So we're very, very aware of the difference between pressure and stress. Thank you very much, Adele. Yes, it can lead to burnout. You're absolutely right. It's a physical response, a psychological response, and flight or flight. Absolutely. Thank you very much. Right, we don't need any more of those. Mental health issues. Yes. We're going to look at stress signals as well. I noticed some of you put some stress signals in there as well, which is great. So you're clearly aware of what that should look like. So quite often stress and pressure get a bit muddled, as I'm sure you're aware. When we talk about it at work, we talk about stress quite often when we actually mean pressure. And we need to differentiate it, because then we absolutely understand what those different factors are. And then we can recognize that stress can be a positive thing. I know not all the time. Stress is normal. It can be positive. It can be motivational. It can help us to feel energized. It can help us to get on with things, particularly if we're a bit of a procrastinator or we're feeling a bit bored by something. So stress can be good. It can be a motivator. But whilst it's not a diagnosed illness, in large and sustained doses, this can have a dramatically adverse effect on our health, as you probably know, for those of you who do feel those physical and psychological reactions to stressors. So, but we need to recognize it's not a weakness. It is something we need to recognize. We all feel it at times, but we all feel it to different extents. And that's where it becomes, again, a little bit complicated, because for one person, a stressful event doesn't feel stressful, and to another person it will tip them over the edge. So pressures, we know they are factors, external and internal, that impact on us. They are either factors that we put on ourselves, they are factors that are put on us by others, our role, our manager, our colleagues, all of the pressures you came up with earlier, which was great, which show us we understand and identify with a lot of those pressures, and we experience those daily. But we might not experience a stress response daily. Hopefully we don't anyway. But if we do, that's when it starts getting troublesome. So when we experience pressures, we need that. We need that in order to motivate. Again, it can energize us. Any of you who says, oh, yeah, I like to work very last minute, you know how to work under pressure. Those of you who say, yeah, I leave revision, or I leave that deadline, that report, until the day before or the night before. I work all night. I've heard that people say that. I'm an all-nighter. You know how to work under pressure. I personally don't like working under pressure. I like to chunk things out into smaller chunks and get on with things in a much more steady manner. However, if we, and this is where the pressure, yes, thank you, Philippa. Yeah, absolutely. If we do let that pressure overwhelm us, we then become overwhelmed, we experience too much pressure, and we need to be able to recover in between times. So in order to manage that stress response, we need a time for recovery. If we don't get that time for recovery, so if we are working a solid day and then we don't get a chance to recover, and then we end up doing more work in the evening, that's when it becomes stress. Stress can become the result, and that will have potentially lasting effects on our health. So we've got an idea of what those two differences are and what they mean, the effect it has on us. I'm going to show you a couple of definitions now for you to consider. So first of all, the Health and Safety Executive defines stress as the adverse reaction people have to pressures or other types of demands placed upon them. And then the bottom one, I personally really like. I find this one much more easy to interpret. Professor Stephen Palmer, PhD, notes that stress occurs when perceived pressure exceeds your perceived ability to cope. And I wonder whether we can align our experience of our stress response on that definition. Stress occurs when perceived pressure exceeds your perceived ability to cope, because I wonder whether we always react in the same way, because we don't. So for instance, do certain situations like deadlines, targets, do they always make you feel stressed? What about when you've got multiple tasks to complete or multiple project meetings that you need to attend? Do they always make you feel stressed, or is it sometimes make you feel stressed? What about when you're stuck in traffic or queuing in the supermarket to pay, and you can see there's 5 or 6 supermarket trolleys in front of you waiting to pay? It's probably not. We don't normally get, no, it doesn't mean that it's not real. It's just how we are interpreting it. Good question though, Mercy. Thank you very much. It's how we're interpreting it at that time, how it is affecting us. So we don't feel the same level of stress response or perception response for every single day. It changes, and that's where it becomes more difficult to then manage, because you can't have a blanket approach. It does depend on, yes, thank you, Jenny, depends on your frame of mind. Sorry, I can't read all the messages. I'm just seeing them flick up and I'm thinking what works. So yes, we do have a different response at different times and a different reaction to pressures. So it is very, very subjective. So I'm going to show you a little diagram that I've created just to express this a bit simpler. So we have that situation or that stressor, whether it's a deadline, whether it's a project, whether it's our boss needing something a lot quicker than anticipated, or changing a deadline for us. So we have this perception in our brain. Can I cope? Psychological response. Can I cope? Yes or no. If I can cope, I'm in control and I feel happy and I feel steady. If I can't control, if I feel no, I can't cope with this, it's too much on my plate, I've got too many files to deal with, it's our reaction to it that causes the stress response. So once our perception of our ability to cope reduces, that's when we get our reaction and our stress response. And what that looks like, as you already know, I am sure most of you, is we get that fight or flight response, which starts in our brain and then it goes through our entire body. As you know, that fight or flight response is a survival response. It's instinctual. It's designed to help us get away from danger and run fast. But we don't need to do that in an office generally, or we don't need to do that on a shop floor or in a manufacturing environment, in production. We don't need a flight or fight response. It's really, really disruptive. And I'm not going to read this slide out, but this is some of the things that happen to us physiologically when we have that fight or flight response. We recognize it. Yes, you get freeze, Jenny, absolutely. So, and yes, Rhiannon, you're absolutely right. Some of us do feel like we're permanently living in fight or flight mode. So we constantly have to have our strategies going on so that we can manage that fight or flight response, because the more we have adrenaline coursing around our body, the more damage that does to us. And that's where we spot those stress signals. So we don't need that survival response anymore. It's more of a psychological response. And this includes remembered situations that we go back to in our brain when we have flashbacks. Something might remind us of a particular awful situation or a difficult conversation. It could be even anticipated things like, I'm going to present tomorrow, I'm presenting now, or it could be an anticipated meeting you're not looking forward to, or an interview, for example, or it could be something imagined as well. So we are very, very good at telling ourselves something's going to be awful, aren't we? So in those imagined situations, which feel really, really real to us, we start to panic and we get that fight or flight response, which is that adrenaline and that cortisol running around our bodies and particularly fogging up our brains. So we need to think about what those unpleasant symptoms look like for us, because they are all individual. And then we're going to look at that in a minute. And then we're going to look at what can we do about that. I will just touch on quickly, the fight or flight response is designed to be dissipated by physical activity. Now, I'm sure most of you know that already. Cortisol in our system can last up to 50 minutes. So each fight or flight episode that we have in our bodies can last up to 50 minutes, which means that every time, if you are having a stress response once per hour to an email that's coming through demanding something, or you're getting a request from your manager to change your conflicting deadlines or your priorities, or you're being chased for something, if that happens once an hour, you are going to feel like you're in constant fight or flight mode all day. And that is where you end up not being able to cope with it, or it ends up being one of those damaging elements to our physiology, to our health. So that's what we need to get more of a control of. When those triggers come in, we need to recognize those. And that's what I want us to look at today, is where are those signals, where are those little triggers that can help me to stop and pause now, so that I can get a hold of my fight or flight response, and then I can manage that situation a lot clearer headed, and I feel more in control and I feel more steady. So that's what I want to try and achieve today, is get you to realize what are those small signs that I'm starting to go on fight or flight, so that I can manage it now, not 3 or 4 or 6 hours later when I've had that adrenaline and cortisol in my system all day and that's not helping me. I can't get rid of the work for you, and you already know that, I am sure. And quite often, even when you speak to your manager about trying to offload some of your work, they'll say, I'm really sorry, I can't take it off your hands. You need to manage your workload and you need to prioritize. And that's another course entirely. Please do come on some of our time management programs. But please do think about, what can I do in the moment that can help me? Oh, a happiness box, that sounds good. Cup of tea, yes, please. Regular breaks, definitely, definitely. Okay, so let's show you the next pressure performance curve, the next slide. So let's firstly look at this pressure performance curve. So we all know where we are in this curve, hopefully. I'm going to ask you in a minute whereabouts you are. I'm also going to add a little bit of an issue down in this corner, the low pressure, low performance part of the curve. This has got a green face, but actually quite often it should have a red face as well. If we are over-resourced, if we have got capacity, if we've got extra skills we are not utilising at work, and we don't have enough demand, or we don't have enough tasks to be able to use all of those skills that we have, that can cause rust out. And when we're in rust out mode, I don't know if you've heard of rust out, when we're in rust out mode, that can be just as stressful a place for us than burnout, which is the other end. Burnout, as you know, I'm sure you've heard of burnout, which is where you've got too much pressure and your performance suffers as a result. So where are you now on this curve? Have a little reflect. Exactly, yes, Cynthia. Underemployment is exactly what rust out exactly is. Very frustrating, and that can lead you to want to leave that job because you are not under-resourced. You are over-resourced, and you are not having the challenge you need to be able to use your resources and your skills, so you don't feel satisfied. So have a think about where you are on this pressure performance curve, because I want you to think about where you are today, or on a typical day. Maybe you're feeling quite calm at the moment because you know you're going to have lunch in a moment. But it is really important to talk about, again, that subjectivity. On some days, we are going to feel that we can be stretched more, and we can maybe not get this amber face in the middle here or just past the middle. Sometimes we can stay green for longer, and other days we cannot. We have not got as much resilience, and we will end up with that orange face a bit further down. Yes, please do share apps if you are. Sorry, Hilary. Yeah, I'll try and slow down. I have got a propensity to speak a bit too fast. I'm really sorry about that. I'm glad that rust out is a new word. It's something that maybe we don't recognise it sufficiently, but I do believe it is important. My brother-in-law suffered with rust out, and it was really, really stressful for him at a time when he had less responsibilities and lack of communication, and it was really stressful for him. And it did make him consider leaving his job. So subjectivity is really, really important. We do need to remember, though, that if we experience episodes of stress response frequently, that we start feeling those health risks. Okay, back to you. I would like to know, get a feel for the audience. I know in the chat you're already sharing wildly your own experiences and what helps you, which is fantastic. But I'd just like a show of hands if possible, although I realise I can't see everybody on my page, so I'm not sure if this is going to help me or not. I don't know whether Vicky can help me at all. I would like to know who never uses strategies at the moment. Who never uses? Just a hands up. Hopefully I can tell how many, but actually I can tell because I can see the number on my screen. Number of people, hands up, who never uses strategies at the moment. So this is going to show you some strategies you can use. So be really helpful. How many people don't use strategies to help manage their own stress levels? So we've got 25, 26. Okay. So okay, that's good. So that looks like more of the group do have some strategies already, which is fantastic. Thank you. We've got quite a few hands up. Fantastic there. Right, let's move to sometimes then. So sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. How many people, hands up, sometimes use strategies to manage our own stress level? Who is in the sometimes category? Oh, a lot more people, 40, yes. And then a few more in the chat. Excellent, that's good. 40 odd people, fantastic. I appreciate some people don't want to put the hands up, and that's fine. You can just listen too. That's great. Fantastic. And then let's go to the often. So who knows how to manage their own stress levels? Who already has strategies? And you're probably here just looking for some extra ones to add to your toolbox. Who uses their own strategies all the time? Yes, absolutely, Andres. Very, very good. Yes, good. Thank you, Mary. Fantastic. Okay, so more people in the sometimes category than in the always. That gives me a good feel for the audience. Thank you very much, everybody. but it's quite split, a thirds, isn't it, into thirds, but some more in the sometimes category. Thank you, everybody. Right, here we go. So I'm going to start with, I'm going to go back to what are those little signals? The aim here, I want to bring about some self-awareness for everybody on this call. I want you to start thinking about this list. I know this list is not exhaustive. I have just brain dumped a load of body signals, emotional signals, brain signals, and behavioral signals. There are lots more, but these are the common ones, I suppose, that when we do a face-to-face training with an organization, this is what people tell me. These are the ones, and I take a note of them, and then I use them in subsequent workshops. So have a little reflect now, think about, and maybe note down, what are the signals that you must notice? Because what I want you to do, and I cannot stress this enough, it's the small signs that show us when we're not coping so well. That's when I want you to think about, this is prior to you having a full-on stress response. What are those small signals that you spot? Tight chest. Yes, Jenny, thank you very much. Yes, that psychological feeling of failure. Thank you, Lauren. What are those small signals? Although that sounds quite a big signal, Lauren, actually. Migraines, that's a good one. Tearful, yes. Sleeplessness, yes. Poor judge, yes. So think about, what are those small signals that I need to pay attention to? Because often we're so busy. Agitation, yeah, that's a good one. We're so busy that we don't notice. We don't notice when we are ending up in a full stress response. And I want you to start thinking about, I need to react quicker. I need to pause. I need to stop. I need to put my strategies in place now so I can get through the day. Feeling of dread, that's a good one. Lack of motivation, yes. Easily irritated, yeah, that's me probably most of the time, actually. Sorry, Vicky, sorry, Roy. But yes, irritability is a good one. So look at those lists. Think about what of those lists can you identify relates to you? When are you having that small sign before that stress response? What is your body trying to tell you so that you can actually take a break and stop and consider? Just going to leave that up there for another few seconds, just so you can have a look. Catastrophizing, yes, definitely. Withdrawal, Lorraine, and that can be positive and negative, because it helps you to remove yourself from a situation, to get a breather, to accept, yeah, freeze, absolutely. Good. I'm glad, Libby, you've got loads of different ones there you've noticed. That's good. Shutting down, yes, Angelina, that's a good one. Again, remove yourself before you shut down completely. Yes, we need to eat more, don't we, Tracy? Because we've noticed that's, well, hopefully most of us know that, but when we have got cortisol running through our body all the time, it makes us want inappropriate foods, lots of sugar, lots of crisps, lots of salt, because that's what stress feeds on. And then it starts affecting our weight, or the opposite, it starts making us lose weight, because that cortisol is making our heart beat faster, it's making our physiology work harder. So we either put on weight or we lose weight, because even though we're eating lots of Mars bars. I remember in one role, I just ate Mars bars the entire time because I needed to keep going. Yes, you eat junk food because that cortisol wants it. Absolutely. Doom scrolling, yeah, we end up procrastinating. Yes, so comfort eating, junk food, that's a sign that stress is starting to affect us physiologically. Okay, let's move on. Now, who is familiar with the stress bucket model? How many people are familiar with the stress bucket? Loads, good. That's good. I'm really pleased. So we've got quite a number of people who are familiar with the stress bucket concept, stress bucket model. The reason why I'm showing this to you is for those of you who really aren't aware of it, and therefore you can help. Thank you, Nicola, for putting your hand up. So you can really help yourself to recognise, actually, I need to fill my bucket with strategies that are going to help to build my resilience. So this next section is all about tools and resilience. Okay, so we've done all the stress signal stuff, and I've hopefully emphasized enough about spotting those. Now we're going to look at how do we deal with it. So we need to fill our stress bucket with lots and lots of techniques so that we can turn that tap on and let out that stress, because tap working and stress falling out of that bucket means we are coping well. We're using those strategies. So we need to have those strategies. Not coping is where the bucket fills up with all those stresses and those stress responses that we're having, and then it overflows. And that's when we get into overwhelm. That's when we start feeling unwell. That's when we start eating erratically, or not sleeping. So yes, we need to get all those resilient actions so that we can turn on our tap and let that stress flow out. That's when we need to take that break. So here we start thinking about, what can we do? So here's some things we're going to do. I'm going to try not to talk too fast. I think it was Hillary who asked me to slow down. I do apologise if I do speak ever so fast, particularly when I've got half an hour to 40 minutes. The first one, mental toughness, though. I've got a lot to say on this one, because this is where I want to get you to think about some of those things you can have in your control. Okay, we know about, well, hopefully most of us know about the others, although I will touch on those. But mental toughness is some of those techniques that are really helpful when we're in that moment and we do not know what to do. Our brain is shutting down. So mental toughness consists of a number of things. First of all, cognitive appraisal. Hopefully people have heard of cognitive appraisal. Cognitive appraisal, this is the belief that we have that whether we can cope or not with a particular situation. So we need to reframe in our minds our cognitive appraisal. We need to reframe our beliefs, and we need to start having a better knee-jerk reaction, a more positive knee-jerk reaction, and thinking, I can do this. I am good at this. I know how to fix this, or I have dealt with this before and I know what to do, or I can help with this if it's a colleague. So cognitive appraisal, super, super important. It is a differentiator for those people who feel they can cope better with stress than those people who can't cope with stress. Second thing, hardiness. Yes, thank you very much, Jenny. We need to change our default reaction. It's hard, really hard. But the more we do it, whether you've got a little post-it note, whether you've got something on your screen that tells you to change your cognitive appraisal into a positive, a reframing, the more you do it, the more natural it will become. Practice makes perfect, as with anything. So this cognitive appraisal. Second one, hardiness, our outlook on life. So very similar. It's all linked. If we start to think about change or issues or problems or stresses as more welcoming, as a challenge, as opportunity. So if we're changing our language about how we perceive issues, essentially, if we start thinking about it as a change, it's a welcome change. I hate change, by the way, but as soon as I reframe it into, this could be positive, this could work well, this could help make my life easier, immediately I respond differently. I don't know, Shivani, Vicky might be able to help with that. Is the recording going to be available? I've already said, actually, it's going to be uploaded to the website and also to our YouTube channel, so you should be able to access it afterwards. So yes, hardiness is our outlook on life. How do we see that issue? Do we see it as a challenge or an opportunity? And then once we see it more positively, it's then commitment to action. So hardiness, our outlook on life, is how do we perceive that issue to be? Is it a welcome change? Is it a challenge? Is it an opportunity? Yes, thank you very much, Angelina. And then a commitment to take action. We might have had a break in between this time. It's not going to be immediate, but the more we do it, the better we become at it to take that, see that issue, turn it into a challenge or an opportunity, and create an action around it. Another element of outlook on life that more positive people have is they see issues as temporary. They see an issue as temporary. This is a temporary setback. This is only going to affect me today. This is not going to affect me tomorrow. And this is not going to be, my daughter has a habit of saying, oh, this is awful. This is going to take forever. And I have to remind her, no, it won't, my darling. It won't take you forever. It's going to take about 20 minutes. So yes, Sophie, thank you, Sophia. This too shall pass, indeed. So if we see things as temporary, instead of thinking, oh, woe is me, catastrophizing is something we can manage. I know it's hard, but if we do catastrophize and think, oh my gosh, this is awful, we can manage that. And then we get to that sense of control. So cognitive appraisal, I've covered. Hardiness, I've covered. Hopefully you've got enough detail there. I also want to now talk about control. So there's a number of things that we can do with control. And again, we need to, excuse me, we need to pause. We need to reflect. We might need to walk away and come back to it. But once we've done that, we are in control. We are in control and we can keep calm. Yes, thank you very much. We can keep calm and carry on. Thank you, Andres. Now, there are several bits about control I want to share with you, so I hope you keep up. First of all, circle of control. Who knows about circle of control? Dr. Stephen Covey started talking about circle of control in the 80s, and lots of people have built on the circle of control since. It's the 3 circles. We live in our circle of concern. In the middle, we got the circle of influence, and then in the center, we have our circle of control. If we live in our circle of concern, we end up being unproductive, reactive, and we are contagious to our colleagues, and we become influential and negatively. Absolutely. Thank you very much, David. Whereas if we live in our circle of influence, and we can dive in and out of all of them, if we live in our circle of influence, we can influence our brain, which is what we're talking about here. We influence our brain, and we see things in a much better, more positive reframe, and we influence people around us. Can I escalate this? Can I include somebody else? Can I ask someone for advice? Can I talk to my manager about my workload? So that's influencing. And then control. The control is, what do I do about this? What have I done similar to this before? So that's a type of control. That's behavioral control. Behavior control is, have I done this before? What did I do in that instance? Is it similar to something I've experienced? What did I do then? How did I make that successful? How did I make that work? What did I learn before if something went wrong? How can I put this in practice now? Can I have informational control? Different type of control. Informational control is, I need, like it says, I need to get some information. I need to pause. I need to think. I need some information. What does this mean? What are the pros and cons? What could be potentially happening? What are the consequences? What will happen? What are the timeframes I have? So you're thinking about, what information do I need about this issue, about this problem, about this deadline? And then the last bit of control I want to share with you, and there are tons more, please do look online. But I specifically want to share with you tools that are problem solving tools, as well as the emotional resilience tools. The last one is retrospective control. So this is reflecting afterwards. What did I do to exacerbate that issue? What did I do to make that worse? What did I do to, what could I do to reverse that occurrence, make sure, or avoid that it happens again? Remembering that stress occurs when we don't feel in control. So going back to control then, so we've talked about the circle of concern, Dr. Stephen Covey. We've got behavioural control. Have I done this before? Have I done this before? What can I do to solve this? Is it familiar to me? We've got decisional and informational control. What do I need to find? What do I need to gather to help myself? And then retrospective control. What can I do to reduce this in the future? No, my slides are still the same one. I'm talking about mental toughness. I just want to give you the tools about mental toughness. Okay. So those are the problem-solving elements, the mental toughness, the cognitive elements that I've shown you about. Now I want to touch on the others on this slide, which is physical health. Exactly. Thank you very much. Yes. So it's about being what is under your control. Thank you very much. Physical health then. We hopefully already have some physical strategies in place. Please put in the chat, what do we use physically? What physical things do we do to get up out of our chair? Physical responses is what gets rid of cortisol. It helps to dissipate it out of our system. So yes, take a walk. Thank you, Esther. Going for a walk, stretching, movement. Yes. Go out with a dog. Yes. Thank you, Leslie. And thank you, Angelina. Yeah, absolutely. So physical activity. Do we go to a club? Do we go to yoga? Do we? Yes. Thank you, Holly. Do we go to the gym? Do we go for a walk with a friend? Yeah, make a cuppa. It can be a small thing as well, particularly during the day when we want to get cortisol out of our system. We need to get up and move. We shouldn't keep sitting. If we carry on sitting, that cortisol does not get out of our system. Go outside. Yes, thank you, Andrew. Use an exercise bike. So physical health. Think about what physical health you can accentuate. What about stairs? Use the stairs more often, perhaps, or go up and down the stairs more often than you possibly need to, if you haven't got bad knees. So yes, thinking about what physical activities can we do. Yes, stretching our arms and using weights as well. So that's our physical health. Think about what can we do to get out more. And then our emotional health. Our emotional health is about thinking about self-compassion. Sorry, I had to look at my notes then because I completely went blank. Self-compassion, accepting our emotions. It's fine to feel anger. It's fine to feel frustration and to be upset. It's fine to feel sad. That's normal being human being. And we should be more compassionate about ourselves, just like if we were our own best friend. So think about what makes us human, think about our emotions and accept our emotions, but then give ourselves time to move forward with our emotions. Does anyone use mindfulness? Hands up who uses mindfulness activities. They are fantastic when it comes to emotional regulation and emotional awareness. It helps us to be self-compassionate. Brilliant. Loads of people use mindfulness. Fantastic. So yes, emotional health is really important to recognize and accept, and self-compassion. Body scan, yes. Actually, if anybody's got any links to good relaxation exercises, breathing exercises, then please do share them in the chat. I will say out loud that I use either the Fitbit app on my phone. They have some really excellent relaxation exercises and grounding exercises. Thank you, Sam. And Greater Good magazine. I don't know if you've heard of Greater Good magazine. The Greater Good magazine is very, very good at giving you loads of activities around breathing, relaxation, just in the moment things that you just, nobody knows that you're doing. I don't know if anyone's heard of the 5-4-3-2-1 method, which I've used for a number of years now. It's very effective to help you stay grounded. I will quickly take you through it. It's 5 things that can I see around me, and it helps you to bring you back to the present, helps you bring focus. 5 things I can see, 4 things I can hear. No, it's not here. 4 things I can touch around me, like my cardigan, my hair, my desk. 3 things I can hear, 2 things I can smell, 1 thing I can taste. So have a little bit of chocolate, have a drink of your coffee or your water. Thank you very much for sharing, everybody. That's fantastic. So yes, the 5-4-3-2-1 mindfulness activity, you can find that online. It's easy to find, and it's really helpful to just ground you very, very fast, particularly if you're starting to feel overwhelmed. It gets you grounded straight away in the present. Thank you, Elena. I did not know that. That really is helpful to know. It also helps resolve a panic attack. Thank you very much indeed. Social support. Hopefully you already realise, it does goes without saying, we need to find our people, who we belong to, who we can confide in, who we trust, who are those positive people that give us a boost and motivate us. And then spiritual strength, again, it goes for everybody. It doesn't have to be a religious belief. It doesn't have to be a prayerful belief, although I like prayerful activities. It can be meditation, it can be yoga, it can be anything where we feel that sense of belonging, that spiritual strength internally, where we feel much more positive, where we feel much more able to reframe. Affirmations. Thank you, Tracy. I'm not too sure about that. Social support includes use of AI, only because I've been watching Hannah Fry, Dr. Hannah Fry on TV about AI, and I'm finding it slightly terrifying. So I'm sure that there are positive aspects to it, and I am pleased that AI companies are taking action to ensure that the AI entities are more positive and not too affirming. But yes, I don't know. Jury's out for me on that one. But I'm sure it is helpful to some, so long as there's a positive helpfulness. Yes, stargazing, woodland walks. Yes, there's there are noise workshops as well, aren't they? Sound workshops which help you to. And also I've recently discovered rage rooms. I haven't been to one yet, although I'm looking into it, but I believe that there are such a thing as a rage room where we can let out all of our anger. Okay. Final couple of things. Stress in the workplace. I know I mentioned this right at the beginning, and either it's your colleagues or your manager can create a much more positive environment if we can recognise those signals in our colleagues and then address them with sensitivity. And by that I mean careful not to say, you're looking stressed. We know that that's not going to go down well. So think about, can I help you with anything? Or you're looking pensive, or you're deep in thought there. If you've got any concerns, is there anything I can support you with? Think about how you can address or approach that person that isn't going to make them feel that they are being blamed or criticised. So think about that. That's all I want to say on that, because it's one of those areas that I'm conscious that people don't like to be approached about. And I've got a final reminder about a number of activities, strategies that people use. I know people use lots of these already to improve their resilience and their ability to manage their stress responses. I'm not going to read them out, but we know there's lots of research that shows that these are effective, particularly sleep. I know sleep as a perimenopausal woman doesn't always come to me as lovely as I would like it, but it is so powerful to repair our brain and to repair our body so that we're ready for the next day. So please do have a think about, what do you already do, And then my final ask is, what are you going to do now? I've given you quite a lot of information there. You might want to go and rewatch the bit about mental toughness and cognitive tools that can help us to problem solve, to take more control. But I've also got lots of information here about those well-being. Yes, Andrew, very, very good. Yes, it gives them permission to be vulnerable. You're absolutely right. It makes them feel safe. Yes, I agree, Tracy. Yeah, we don't give ourselves enough time, and we aren't compassionate enough. So my final call to action for you is, what new strategy are you going to try? Please note down one thing that you are going to do differently, in addition to your other tools, but particularly for that group of people, the 25-odd people that said they don't use strategies. Really, really important that you stick down at least one strategy that you are going to try to help you to pause, reflect, stop, take a break, have a little walk, and then thank you. The 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yes, the circle of concern, it's called. Circle of concern, circle of control. Really, really effective. Oh, good. Loads of people liking the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and breathing techniques as well. Please do look up those breathing techniques. They are so effective. Nobody knows you're doing them. You can do them at your desk. You can do them whilst you're eating your sandwich. Well, not breathing maybe, but you can do your relaxation exercises. They only take a couple of minutes. Yes, circular control. Thank you very much. Please, self-compassion is so, so important. Please note down one thing you are going to be trying to make a difference to your stress response, to help you to feel more in control. Walking upstairs, yes. Crunching bubble wrap. Oh, I like that one. Yes, as long as it's not going to annoy your colleagues, Margarita. Reframing too, yes. Well, thank you, everybody. I know that was a lot to take in 40 minutes. It goes so fast, doesn't it, that 40 minutes? I know.